HighBridge, a division of Recorded Books, presents Northern Heist by Richard O'Rourke. Read by John Keating. 1. They say lazy bone-itis is in the blood. It isn't in James Ructions O'Hare's blood. Not when it comes to robbing banks. At RJ's gym on Belfast's Boucher Road, Ructions watches his childhood friend Billy Kelly set down dumbbells on the weight bench and inspect his bulging biceps. He likes what he sees. A female fitness trainer yells at her aerobics class, exhorting the masochistic faithful to spill even more sweat. A middle-aged Arnold Schwarzenegger look-alike, in a tight pair of latex shorts, with clenched fists in black fingerless gloves, strolls across the floor. Mini Arnold's eyes inspect the pot-bellied and the over-the-hillers. Chesney Hawkes, the one and only, blasts over the loudspeakers, as Mini Arnold grins at himself lasciviously in a floor-to-ceiling mirror. He sees Billy, winks, and strolls over towards the pull-up bar. Billy, the pocket-sized champion weightlifter, opens his bottle of water and puts it to his lips. Ructions, 45 years old, blonde hair, full lips, thin Roman nose and athletic build, lies on the bench, breathes deeply, and prepares to start his set of bench curls with the dumbbells. After only 5 bench curls, Billy's upside-down face appears above him. 150 large? Before the move? That's what you said. You're going to give me... Ructions sets down the dumbbells, sits up and wags his finger. Billy. Let me get this right. Uh-huh. You're going to give me 150... I'm not giving you anything, Billy. Now, Billy says, your client, who we both know well. We know a lot of people well, and any of them could be the person to whom you are referring. Billy ignores Ructions' provocations. Let's call this person to whom I am referring Robin Hood. Ructions feigns surprise. You've guessed my client's name. So, Robin Hood is going to give me... Billy looks about, making sure he will not be overheard. £150,000 before the job is done? Yes. Billy's foxy eyes tried to read Ructions' face. Nice bait. Ructions does not disguise his ire. Nice bait? Nice fucking bait? Are you serious? There's a catch, Billy says, pointing to Ructions' chest. Come on, amigo. This is your best mate you're talking to. What is it? Ructions puts his arms on Billy's shoulder. You and me. We joined the Immaculata Boxing Club together, didn't we? We sure did. And I taught you how to swim in the falls baths, didn't I? No, Billy says. I taught you. Ructions is reminded that Billy will be a controversialist to the day he dies. Take my word for it, Bill. There is no catch. Once the money is in your hands, it's yours. So, if the move goes ahead, you get paid the big bucks. If at the last minute it gets called off, you still get paid the big bucks. If your boys get knocked off by the cops, they eventually come out of the nick to the big bucks. Billy strokes his black moustache. I see. And remember this, you're the boss man. You pay your employees what you think they're worth. Gone is the frivolity, as Ructions whispers in Billy's ear. Billy, believe me, it doesn't get much better than this. Robin's no philanthropist. I never said he was. So, for him to claw back his money and get the wages he's used to, this thing has to work. Bingo. Ructions O'Hare, Billy says, beaming. You must be 110%. Aren't I always? Amen. You knew that anyway. You knew that before you came to me. Billy inspects his biceps in the mirror and sings, I am the one and only. He falls silent for a few seconds and then turns to Ructions. You fellas must be expecting a heavy haul. I'm an optimist, Billy. I always expect a good result. Ructions had anticipated that Billy's greed would kick in sooner or later, and he is not disappointed. Can we say 200 Ructions? Our pal Robin, he can do that, can't he? No. That's it? That's it. Billy nods. Be thankful for small mercies, eh? Small mercies can be plenty costly. Yeah. Well, as I say, I'm in. Billy lifts his towel to go, and then stops. Oh, I forgot to ask. How many players do I need? 5 max, maybe less. If you'd a mind to do the prep work yourself and go no frills. Hey, you're looking at no frills, Kelly. And one more thing. Yeah, I might need you to do some overtime. I probably won't, but if I do, I'll look after you. Time and a half. Double time. I'm your man. Seamus McCann is a man who thinks the world of himself. Lanky and thin, and with a sombre disposition. This former commander of the South Down IRA Brigade looks more like a door-to-door Mormon missionary than someone who has spent the best part of his life plotting to kill British soldiers and police. The dark mornings are upon them, and Seamus and Ructions are the only people on Bright Castle Golf Course, outside Downpatrick. Ructions puts on his golf glove, takes out his driver, and turns his attention to the first fairway. Is there any point in hitting a ball? It'll lift soon, Seamus says, his head tilting backwards as he scans the mist for signs of a break in the weather. Ructions inhales the dewy crispness in the air as Seamus slowly pulls back his driver and drills the ball into the lifting mist. Straight up the middle. You think so? I know so. I haven't missed this fairway in 10 years. Ructions pushes his tee into the ground and sets a golf ball on top of it. He takes some practice swings and focuses. Arms straight, eye on the ball, and a sharp strike. His ball flies straight into the trees to the right. A decent effort, Seamus says. But you didn't aim for the fairway. You'll find your ball easy enough. The two men pull their golf trolleys up the fairway. Do you ever miss it, Seamus? The IRA? The struggle? Nah, it had run its course. Too many people died for too little, Ructions, and too much time was spent in jail. Like, I've done 12 solid years. Yeah, you told me that last time. Did I? There you are now. You were saying... Saying what? About big money. Oh, right. My client, Panzer O'Hare. Ructions gives Seamus the Undertaker's stare, measured and stern. My uncle is not the client. Seamus studies Ructions with bemused eyes. Are you trying to read my thoughts, Ructions? You are, you fucking reprobate. Seamus cannot turn back the tide of a smile. Neither can Ructions. Both men have worked together before, and each knows that Panzer is the client. But for Ructions to acknowledge it would be unprofessional. Seamus puts up his hands. Sorry about that. Ructions nods his acceptance of the apology. They walk towards the trees. My client is committed to investing a large sum of money in a team that would be prepared to hold some people for 24 hours. 36 max. Yes, the money would be paid up front. Before the move? Yes. So all they've to do is to hold people till the job is over. Nothing else. That's it. And the money, it'd be made available 24 hours before the job commences. Seamus points towards the trees. Your ball is in there. The two men go into the trees to search for Ructions' ball. Ructions finds it and takes a club out of his golf bag. Seamus walks up the fairway. His thoughts are like dodgem cars, crashing into one another. We get paid before the move, but no percentage of the take. Old Panzer must be expecting some turn. Demand a percentage of the take. Hold on there, Seamus, you boy, you. Ructions will walk if you do that. Maybe he won't. He'll get another team. He will. He won't. He will. Ructions chips his ball out of the trees. The mist has lifted, as Seamus had predicted. His ball is in the middle of the fairway, as he had also predicted. He takes out his 5-wood and drives the ball to the edge of the green. "Nice shot," Ructions says. "You should make your par." Ructions hits his ball up the centre of the fairway. They amble on. "If a man was to express an interest in this job," Seamus says haughtily, what sort of wages might he expect to take home like?" 150 large. Seamus' arching eyebrows tell Ructions everything he needs to know. Realising immediately that he has made a serious faux pas, Seamus tries to sound non-committal. "Not bad. How many men?" "That'd be up to the controller, but it's straightforward enough. I'd say 3, 4 at the very most. And it'd be up to the controller how much he pays his workers. As long as the job gets done, that's none of my business." "I see." Seamus stops and turns to Ructions. "And how much money is there in the job?" "That's none of your business." Seamus can't shackle the greedy voice in his head. "Ask for a percentage of the take." "Ah, but it is my business. I'd like to think there'd be a percentage—" "Shh," Ructions says, as he zips up the top of his golf bag and unclips the button on his glove. "Be seeing you, Seamus." Ructions puts out his hand. Astonished at the sudden turn of events, Seamus automatically takes Ructions' hand, but his grip is weak. "This conversation," Ructions says, "never happened, okay?" Seamus looks like a man who has pulled his house apart and still cannot find his winning lottery ticket. "Whoa, Ructions, whoa! We can talk about this, can't we?" Ructions looks at his watch. "I need to go. I've to be up the road for 11:30. Seamus has no idea where up the road might be, and he cares even less. Sensing that his stock is dwindling away, he decides to play the man-to-man card, chuckling and holding up his hands appealingly. "Come on now, Ructions, you're not going to blame me for having a rattle, are you?" "You declared your hand," Ructions says, "and I've moved on. That's it." Seamus smiles and points a golf club at Ructions. "You'd have done exactly the same thing. Admit it." If Seamus finds the situation amusing, Ructions doesn't. He rolls his head from one side to the other, as if evaluating his options. "I got greedy," Seamus says. "It won't happen again." "No more shit talk." "Gotcha, buddy." "No, I've got you, Shamey Bo, and by the cobblers too." "Okay, now, if I was to give you this job, I'd expect the same protocols as before. I know, no forensic traces left behind, everything on a need-to-know basis. I'd want a clean, professional operation. Isn't it always? As always. You're the only one on your side who knows who I am, and I'm the only one on my side who knows who you are. We keep it that way, just you and me. We watch each other's backs. Ructions, I'm the only person alive who knows the names of the volunteers who stiffed 14 Brits and cops. I know how to keep my trap shut. I know you do. But what has to be said, has to be said. And just when we're on the subject of, you don't have to, listen to me. I'm telling you, fucking listen to me. Ructions snaps. You're not an IRA commander now, Shamey Bo. I give the orders, and you take them. My client would be really pissed off if the IRA turned up at his door. That won't happen, Seamus says icily. It better not. One shallow breath later, and Seamus's irritation finds its voice. Are you threatening me? I don't do threats. I state the position on behalf of my client. Don't talk to me like I'm a little boy. I'd never do that. It sounded very like it. If it did, then I apologise. Seamus swallows hard. OK. The IRA won't find out about this from my end. You've my word of honour on that. Ructions puts on his glove again, unzips his golf bag and takes out a club. I'll finish this hole, he says. As he readies himself to take his shot, he turns to Seamus. One last thing, before we get down to the nitty-gritty. What? No regrets. I'm not with you. Ructions lets almost 30 seconds pass. It's simple. I don't want you getting your greedy head on again after the job. I don't want you whinging in my ear that you want more dough. The deal we do now is the only deal there is or will be. Are you with me? Seamus is aggrieved, almost to the point of distraction. Are you trying to make an asshole out of me altogether? No, I'm stating, the position on behalf of your client, I know. I heard you the last time. Ructions puts out his hand again. Do we have a deal? Seamus takes Ructions' hand, and this time his grip is firm. We have a deal. 2. Finbar O'Hare's face is as pallid as wet bonding plaster, and his eyes are as black as the devil's tongue. His father, Johnny Panzer O'Hare, and Gerard Geek O'Reilly, red-haired, red-faced, and red-necked, watch Finbar as he emerges from the farmhouse, which is affectionately known as the Big House. The 22-year-old strides purposefully across the farmyard, towards the middle barn. Panzer rubs the grey stubble on his chin. There's something on that gobshite's mind. Something nasty. Panzer's suspicions are compounded when Finbar lifts a pitchfork from the side of the barn and disappears through the barn door. Go see what he's up to, Panzer says to Geek. In the middle barn, 2 mechanics, Rudy and Apple, are looking under the hood of a lorry. Another mechanic is down in the pit, working on the underside of a black Nissan car. 3 piles of new tyres are stacked neatly in a corner. In another corner, 50 used car batteries and new exhaust parts fill the elevated shelving. A radio blasts out the latest hits from an oil-stained bench. A bare-breasted woman smoking a large cigar looks down from a calendar. Finbar walks over to the 2 mechanics and, holding the pitchfork in both hands, thrusts it into Apple's left thigh. There is a scream of unsolicited agony as Apple turns around, the spanner in his hand poised to strike back. Finbar puts the pitchfork to Apple's neck, one hand flat against the base of the tool, and the other holding the shaft from above. Apple drops the spanner. Geek charges into the barn. What the fuck's going on here? Don't ever call me a bastard again, or I swear, Finbar says with a wicked grin on his face. I'll leave your windpipe so full of holes, people will think it's a cheese grater. I didn't. Shut your fucking grease trap, Finbar growls, his hands gripping the pitchfork even tighter. Finbar, Geek shouts. Put it down and get out. Go on, get out to fuck. Finbar backs off, the pitchfork still pointed at Apple. Rudy, bring Apple over to the big house and patch him up. You've got off light, Finbar says, as he reaches the barn door. Next time. Out, Finbar, Geek orders. Now. Finbar leaves. Apple puts his hand on his thigh, and when he brings it up again, it's coated in blood. The bastard stuck me in the leg. You'll thank your lucky stars he didn't stick you in the windpipe, Geek says. Are you going to let him away with this? Apple says in a hysterical voice. I'm going to report it to the boss. Is that it? You're going to tell Daddy his son was a bold boy? Is that all you're going to do? What else do you want me to do? Shoot him? Maybe I should tell Panzer O'Hare you want his son shot. Apple screws up his face and turns to Rudy. Fuck this! Take me to the hospital. Rudy looks at Geek, who nods his approval. Ructions pulls up into the O'Hare farmyard, switches off the ignition, and stares at the bronze statue of his grandfather on his horse Phantom. The plaque on the plinth simply reads, The Devil. Ructions had hardly known his legendary horse-dealing ancestor, but he has a vivid memory from his own 6th birthday of standing outside the large gateway to the family stables in Yew Tree Street, off Belfast's Falls Road, and of holding his granny Mary's hand. He still recalls the detestable fawn overcoat that covered his knees, the woolly ski mask that roasted his ears, and the hearty pong of horse manure. In his granny's other hand was a small white pipe, which she sometimes wedged into the right side of her toothless mouth. From beneath her black shawl, whiffs of white hair stuck out, while dough-coloured skin scarcely covered jutting cheek and jawbones. "Keep your eyes peeled, James," Granny Mary had said, sucking on the pipe. "The devil and his disciples will be coming soon." Bewildered, the young lad looked all around. On the far side of the stable's entrance, the yellow streetlight seemed to flare up before becoming smothered in the early morning fog. Even now, decades later, Ructions can hear the clip-clop of hoofs on the cobblestones as 3 horsemen emerged from the fog at the entrance to the stables. In the middle had been the devil, hunched and riding bareback on his palomino gelding Phantom. On each side of him were his sons Johnny and Bobby. Bobby, Ructions' father, was leaning forward, stroking his horse's ear. Ructions can still remember how he had shuddered at the sight of the devil on horseback. The lapels of his grandfather's ankle-length brown overcoat had been pulled up to meet his black, crumpled hat. The only visible facial feature was his eyes, which in the child's vivid imagination seemed to be glowing red. The devil glanced down at Granny Mary, touched his hat with his riding crop, and steered Phantom to the left, breaking into a trot in the direction of Raglan Street. Granny Mary saluted her husband by raising her pipe, a lipless smile spreading on her sallow face. To this day, Ructions could recollect how he burned with envy as 12 of the devil's disciples followed their principal down the street on their way to the docks, where the animals would be shipped to England for sale. The sound of an approaching engine catches Ructions' attention. Panzer, with Geek alongside him, drives around the side of the big house in his 4-seater golf buggy, a golf bag set in the back of the vehicle. Stopping some way from Ructions, Panzer turns to Geek. "And how is Apple?" "It's not much more than a scratch," Geek says. "He'll survive." "I know Apple. He'll remember this. I should talk to him." "You should talk to Finbar." "Sure. I mean it, boss. The lad has a shotgun temper." "I hear you. Now, how's he coming along otherwise?" "You asked me a year ago to prepare him to take over the hands-on side of the business." "Uh-huh. Well, he's almost there." "Almost." "Almost," Geek says. "Besides his short fuse." "Yes." "He can be a bit chilled out, you know." "Okay." Geek chops the air with his hand. "Don't get me wrong. He is only to be told something once and he gets it. Like, this kid is... he's laser sharp. For example, your bar isn't making money. It hasn't for years. Finbar has an idea to turn that around." "He has?" "Yeah. He thinks you should lease it out at a reasonable rate and do a deal with the lessee on the profits from the gaming machines. That way, instead of losing dough, the bar makes you a few quid, and you still own the license and the property." Panzer tilts his head thoughtfully and strokes his ear. "That's not bad. Not bad at all." If you were of a mind to lease it out," Geek says, I'd like a rattle at it. I've been in business before. I know. If I remember right, your taxi business was flying until that cunt, Tiny Murdoch, decided to close me down. Remind me again. He sent the Ra to warn me to close down my taxi depot, and when I didn't, he had it burnt. And then he broke your leg. Yes, the cunt, with a breeze block. Unconsciously, Geek reaches down to rub his right leg. When was that? Panzer asks. Geek responds immediately. 6 years ago, 12 October 1998. Panzer raises his left eyebrow. If I were you, I'd be careful about calling Murdoch a cunt. You're right, he is a cunt, but he's an IRA cunt, and that makes him dangerous. The fucker had my leg smashed with a breeze block, for nothing. I know he did, Panzer says, his voice trailing off. Now, back to Finbar. Geek is not ready to return to the subject of Finbar. He must make sure that the idea of him leasing Panzer's pub is firmly fixed in his boss's head. You'll keep me in mind, though, if you do decide to lease the pub. Sure, Panzer says. So, Finbar. Geek runs his tongue around his parched lips. He can be off-piste, if you get my meaning. Will he be able to run this place? Panzer asks pointedly. He's not quite there yet, but yes, he will. Geek glances suspiciously at Panzer. Is there something you're not telling me, boss? Why is it suddenly so important that Finbar gets involved? You've had him for a year now, so it's hardly sudden. Look, he's turning out to be a pain in the ass, if you must know, Panzer says, barely able to disguise his exasperation. He needs the discipline of responsibility. Don't all kids? I'll take him down to Dublin with me next week, shall I? Good idea. But make it clear to him that he's there only as an observer. These druggies are dangerous hombres. Tell me about it, Geek says, walking away. He turns back. This Dublin thing. What about it? Are we getting into the drugs business permanently, like? No. This is a one-off. Good. I don't like drugs. Seeing Geek move away, Ructions approaches Panzer and gets into the passenger seat of the golf buggy. Not for the first time, his attention is drawn to his uncle's startling weight loss. What's going on with you, Panzer? What are you not telling me? You're looking more like the devil every day. Has his errant spirit transferred to you? It's a good day for mountaineering, Ructions says. I need to catch a dog trail first, Panzer says, driving over behind the stables to his dog track. The oval-shaped sandy track is 660 yards in circumference, but the trial distance is only 525 yards, the length of an average greyhound race. Private greyhound trials have always been a nice earner for Panzer. His discretion is celebrated, and owners throughout Ireland know that, whatever times their dog records, it never leaves his track. Panzer speaks to a middle-aged man in a duffel coat. He has a hugely impressive Salvador Dali moustache and a lanky teenage sidekick. Ructions takes out a 50-pence piece and twiddles it from one finger to the next. Down at the starting stalls, the handlers put 2 yelping dogs into the traps. One handler speaks into a 2-way radio. The artificial hare is released. The stall doors open as the hare flashes past, and the dogs bolt after it. As the leading dog blazes past the finishing post, Panzer and the man with the Dali moustache click their stopwatches simultaneously, while the teenager goes after the greyhounds. After a while, Panzer looks down and scuffs the ground. Ructions has seen this routine before. It's ante-up time. No one gets ripped off, but Panzer always comes out of these things richer than when he went in. A fat rat disappears behind the back of the stables.
Sample complete. Ready to continue?